Good day, Hebrew family. I hope you're all healthy today. I hope you're COVID free, that the Most High is blessing your health. And I pray that He is blessing the health of your family so that food and shelter, clothing, as well as health of your family is being taken care of by the Most High. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, trying to save life. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us. Menial task that keeps our places clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on those that are trying to deliver, trying to help, trying to recover, trying to save, trying to help escape boys and girls, men and women, babies, teenagers, and adults from the clutches of human trafficking and sex slavery, from prostitution and child prostitution, from pornography and child pornography, from child molestation and pedophilia. Blessing of those that are trying to help deliver people from this situation, and curses upon those that work on behalf of these heinous and abominable industries. Finally, blessings upon the homeless, 600,000 plus men, women, children, made up of families, and as well as veterans that don't have a roof over their head today, and millions around the world in worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom, and blessings upon those that want to help. So today, Hebrew family, I want to discuss a topic of some controversy and much complexity. That is the area of interracial dating. Interracial dating marriage. Very touchy subject, controversial subject. So as I started this little video here, I welcome the Hebrew family, because although some of the advice in this video, and again, I'm speaking from my experience and my understanding of the Most High's word, because I'm not a doctor or a counselor or a licensed professional in psychology. I'm speaking from, again, my experience and from the Bible as I have studied it. But there's some of the principles here that may be able to help others that are not in the Hebrew community, the awakened community of the Hebrew, in the what I call, the Bible describes as the faith of righteousness. So I want to just tell you that now. Now, when it comes to interracial dating, the first thing I want to speak on or talk about or explain is the idea of race. Race is a man-made creation. It's a man-made paradigm. In the Bible and in the majority of the history of what we know as civilization, there's never been anything such called as race. The people who are called Caucasian or white people, quote unquote, from Europe created this paradigm with their scientists. The scientists from Europe created this paradigm of race. At first, they tried to document it by the shape of people's skulls, in terms of the physical characteristics, brain sizes. And then it became basically a way of justifying the theory that the European was just a superior human being. That's really what it comes down to. So it's not something that's biblical. It's not something that the Bible talks about. So then what we need to understand is, from the biblical first perspective, where does this, separation come from in terms of the Bible says, in fact, let's take a look at it in 2 Corinthians chapter 6. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, starting at verse 14, it says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Messiah with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of Yah with idols? For ye are the temple of the living Most High. As Yah said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their Most High, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Most High, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and my daughters, says Al Shaddai. So he says we shouldn't be unequally yoked. He calls it being unequally yoked when you're connected intimately with an unbeliever. Now, what we understand as Hebrews from the Bible is that everything that's spoken in the New Testament is originating in the Old Testament. It's principles that originate from the Old Testament. The Apostle Shaul or Paul, being a Hebrew from the tribe of Benjamin, teaching Gentiles who are believing in the Hebrew Messiah and being grafted into the nation through the Hebrew Messiah and his righteousness. Those principles are being taught in letters. But so let's look at the origin of this principle. And I believe it's in Deuteronomy, and that's the book of the law, Deuteronomy. And it's in multiple places, but for the sake of time here, let's stick with one. It's in Deuteronomy chapter 7. Let's start at chapter 7, and I'll read from verse 1 down to verse 6 of Deuteronomy chapter 7. Notice what it says. When Yahweh thy Most High shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when Yahweh thy Most High shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy Most High. Yahweh that Most High have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So he told his Israelite people when they went into the land that was designated for them, when they were dispossessing 7 other nations, don't make marriages with them. And the reason he gave was because they will turn away your heart from serving the Most High, and you'll end up serving other gods. And we know that this happened in the case of Solomon, that's one of the reasons the Bible says that Solomon ended up worshiping other gods and ended up getting the wrath of the Most High on him, because he was worshiping other gods, because he had married what the Bible calls strange women. Strange women is what the Bible calls it. Let's take a look. And let's see. It's in a couple of places. I'm going to start at 1 Kings chapter 11. 1 Kings chapter 11. I'm going to start at verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 11, beginning at verse 1. And going down from verse 1 down to verse 8. Actually, from verse 1 to verse 9. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with Yahweh his Most High, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahweh, and went not fully after Yahweh, as did David his father. Then Solomon did build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrifice unto their God. And Yahweh was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from Yahweh Most High of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. So the object here is not to have the person's heart, particularly the male, turned from the only true God, according to the Bible, Yah, the Most High. Okay? The Most High never says in his word that all religions believe the same God. That's a world thing. That's not what the Bible says. Only one God, the God of Israel, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he's only showing himself to them. So the object was not to be entangled with the gods of other nations. It had nothing to do with color, particularly when you understand that the people of the land of Canaan, by and large, not all of them, but by and large, were descendants of Ham, dark-skinned people. Okay, so it wasn't about marrying a white woman or a white man. It wasn't, that didn't exist. It was about other nations worshiping other gods. Okay, so it's not about race. And the unequally yoked thing is a principle that even other religions follow. So, for example, I was once in the SDA church. They said recommended strongly that you don't marry somebody outside the SDA church. Jehovah's Witnesses do the same thing. Mormons do the same thing. Everybody believes in trying to stay within their religious beliefs. Okay. But that's getting tired for some people. Okay. Because first of all, the religions that they're in is not really satisfying their soul need in terms of loneliness. It's not satisfying them. So people are not following this principle because they're lonely and they have all kind of issues that they feel like a relationship will help them. So it's more than just skin color. Okay. So let's break it down in this particular sense practically. Basically, you don't want to be dealing with somebody that doesn't have the same spiritual beliefs as you. The same basic spiritual beliefs. Because if you don't, I mean, some people don't have any spiritual beliefs, but if you do have some, and you're dealing with somebody that's opposite of yours, I don't know, you guys are going to have a problem because you're going to have different beliefs and they're going to clash inside of a household. Going to clash. Okay. So the object is to be of the same spiritual mind. Okay. If you're an Israelite, the same understanding of who the Most High is. Okay. But let's go back to interracial dating. So from one thing we have established, it's not about skin color. But now let's deal with it in the race terms. According to the Bible, the children of Japheth's the first one talked about in Genesis chapter 10, him and his children. Those are the originators of Europe. According to the Bible, Japheth's children are dominating the earth in the last days. That's according to the word. So that Japheth's children affect religion, politics, economics, entertainment, and everything upon the earth in the last days. Now it also says they're going to be overthrown. But my point in bringing that up is the Eurocentric effect on culture is strong. So that racism was created by them, because racism is basically saying my race is better than your race. That did not exist before, but it exists now. And that racism created by the people who created race is able to be exercised in practical manners, in that the domination of political, economic, and religious systems on the earth. Now, even if you are of the Caucasian race, and I'm using that term in the modern vernacular, again, understanding that there's no biblical reference for race, you cannot help that it's affecting you. It affects all of us. To think that, I heard somebody tell me the other day, we don't see color. And I told them, I said, you're being self-deluded. What, you blind? You can't tell somebody that somebody's a different color, different shade, different look than you? That's self-delusion. And the whole theory of race, the whole paradigm built over at least 1,000 years. I would say conservatively, at least 1,000 years. It's probably older than that, but let's just say 1,000 years. Since the Roman Empire, since the Roman Catholic Empire especially, and the origination and the painting of the white Jesus and the pushing of that to all the places of the earth, it's a thing. So that it affects everybody. It affects the Caucasian people in that they're raised in a society that shows them, tells them, communicates to them that they're the dominant people. And it shows everybody that's not Caucasian, everybody that's brown or yellow or any other color, you are inferior. That affects every person in a negative way. Let me tell you how it affected me. When I see a black man, quote unquote, with a quote unquote white woman, I'm wondering, does he hate himself? Because racism has caused us to hate ourselves. Is he trying to respond to his self-hatred by connecting with a Caucasian woman? Or does he really love her? If he's got money, is she using him because she wants the money? These are things that come into my mind. Now, I have learned to not quickly judge these situations like this. Having very good friends of mine that I trust, people I trust, that interracial relationships. And knowing them, like in my case, black man, white woman, they're both people that I've known for 30 years. And she stuck with him. They lived a whole year in a place, for example, in an apartment with no electricity and no heat because they couldn't pay the bill. She stuck with him there. And she had a good job. He was trying to make a business. Now, eventually, the business was successful. But it took most of this 30 years, for that to happen. To me, that was love. She stuck with him. He was poverty stricken, literally. And she stuck with him. And because of that, he fell in love with her because she did stick with him. She was right there for him. But then when I see a white man with a black woman, it's just me now, I think of slavery and how often they got to rape our women and how my grandmother was raped by a Caucasian man and produced my father and she had the baby out of rape because she believed if he looked white, he might be able to get ahead. It's how sick we were. Oh, we are. So I thought, when I see that goes to my mom. I'm just telling you. Yeah, here they go again, taking our women. It's not right. I can't judge everybody like that. Take me a while, but I have to deal with myself, within myself. And I want to let's be honest. I think if you deal with Caucasian people, the male, female, and black people, the male, female, everybody's going to think something it's going to be from their own perspective because race has affected us like that. Now, also, if you're in an interracial relationship, I think you're being naive if you don't think that you're going to have to answer for that. Like in terms of people going to be asking you questions. People going to be coming at you with different, ideas in their heart about your relationship. And they could smile in your face and tell you, oh, I'm so happy for you. But the truth is, you'll be dealing with some things. Okay, that's the real. You're going to be dealing with a lot of things for your whole life. See, somebody thinks, well, they're hoping that it's going to get better in time. It will not get better. It will never get better until the system is destroyed. Until the whole system that created race is destroyed. That's the only way it's going to get better. Because in the kingdom, there'll be no race. But there's obviously race now. Okay, so it will never get better. And I'm trying to be real with you. So really, biblically, unless, she's telling you or he's telling you they're worshiping a different God, your spiritual beliefs don't connect. There's nothing to do with the skin color. But in the practical sense, in this society, it means something. Two people can fall in love, to be connected to each other, could be meant by the Most High. And they could be two different races, but you need to understand that. I had a good friend of mine, my brothers in the faith. He really liked this woman. He met her. He was a hairstylist, and he had his own business, and she had her own hairstylist business. He happened to be brown, but the woman was Asian. She was from, I think she was from Vietnam. I think she was from Vietnam or Cambodia, one of them. No, she was from Thailand. Okay. And he came to visit her and her family. And when he walked in the door, the first thing he saw, first he had to take off his shoes. It was their tradition. And there was a statue of Buddha. And in ensuing conversation, he understood she was a worshiper of Buddhist. He could not be with her. There was two different spiritual beliefs. It wasn't just the culture. Not every Asian person's a Buddhist. And not every brown person follows the Most High. But he knew that wasn't going to work. This is the real of interracial relationships. I usually find that they will come together like the brother and sister I told you about, the brother that's interracial relationship with the Caucasian woman that I've known for more than 30 years. They're both Christians and they believe in the same Christianity, the same church. And I believe that keeps them together because they come to this, pretty much equally in that scenario. That will help, really, when you guys are in the same spiritual beliefs. Or I've seen also in the case, brother don't have no belief and she don't have no belief. They're not religious at all. They don't even know if a God exists. And they connect on anything. Now, I've never seen that long-term successful myself. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've seen that too. But it really strongly helps when you have the same spiritual foundation. Or in the case of Ruth the Moabitess, notice what Ruth said when she came before she married the Hebrew that was the descendant of David, the descendant of Messiah himself, Boaz. Notice what she said. She was coming from Moab with her mother-in-law, Naomi. And Naomi was instructing her to, stay in Moab with your gods, with your people, with your culture. And notice what Ruth said to her. I'm going to read from Ruth chapter 1. I'm going to start at verse 15. And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. And where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God, my God. And where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. Yahweh do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. She was determined to follow Ruth and Ruth's God. So that if somebody you meet may not be a follower of the same God as you, but is open to finding out about that God, or because of their connection with you, wants to serve your God, yeah, that's good. Doesn't matter where they come from. Ruth was a Moabite. Okay, we knew that Uriah was a Hittite married to a Hebrew woman, Bathsheba. Okay, and he was in David's army, one of David's right-hand men. So it depends on that person's spiritual willingness and your spiritual willingness to connect on the same belief system. Is very important. That's why a lot of marriages stay strong, or they find out statistically even that they have the same religious beliefs. Very important, right? Very important, especially if you want a happy marriage. And it goes with one of our previous videos that talks about being of the same spirit, being that you are being spiritually connected before you're physically connected. Okay? Thinking about the spiritual connection, developing the spiritual connection, and then understanding even before that, that you're impressed that the Most High sent you this person. These are steps that you must go through before you actually have a physical connection, and certainly before you decide, we're going to spend the rest of our life together. Very important. Okay? And it's not about race. But again, culture does play a big role. Again, if you're a Caucasian woman or a Caucasian man, you're brought up in a system that is catered to you. Period. Whether I'm not saying people say, well, I worked hard for everything I have. That has nothing to do with it. A black man and a white man could work equally hard, and the white man's going to be ahead of him. Period. That's just the way the situation is. Same with a black woman and a white woman. It's just the way it is. That's real. Okay? So people have to understand that. You got to have that understanding. So in other words, a Caucasian woman marrying a black man, she better understand he's going to be harder for him. He's going to deal with many more frustrations than somebody that's Caucasian is going to deal with. He's going to feel many more emotions, anger, than a Caucasian man. Period. He's not going to be as well off financially most times than a Caucasian. Not all the time, but most times. Okay, all things being equal. He's not going to be able to go in the same places with ease that a Caucasian, and it's the same vice versa. Vice versa, the same way. Okay, I'm talking black and white, but this could go to Asian, different cultures, Asian, Mexican, South America, Indian. You go anything, but it's the same thing. It's all based on the same Eurocentric culture. The whole world is based like that because that's prophecy. It's period. The dominant culture is the Eurocentric culture. That's the dominant culture. It affects every aspect of life, even relationships. And to act like it doesn't is really, like I said, willfully ignorant and disingenuous to those people that got to deal with it. Right? So it is what it is. So be careful. Don't judge a person based on their skin color when they together. Like, again, it's going to cross my mind, but I'll consciously know that I shouldn't try to judge them. It crosses my mind. I'm not going to front and say it never comes across my mind. It does. But you can't consciously judge them because you don't know if the Most High brought them together, what their situation is, whatever. You don't know. Of course, if you meet them and talk to them long enough, you'll see. But you don't know right off. Right? So interracial relationships, there's nothing in the Bible against two races because there's no race in the Bible. But there is a difference in spiritual beliefs and spiritual understanding. I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, just, ask. We'll do our best to answer. Shalom.